thanks for stopping by at Twisted Art Designs. Today I've got a quick mixed media project to do. And I want to start by saying I'm not the original person who created this, and I'm not sure whose other YouTube video I saw it from. So if anybody can find that or reference it, please let me know, because I'd be glad to give that person credit for the idea. And I'm taking it a couple of steps further, so I just wanted to show my take on it and show it really quick because it's super easy but so fun. So these are little bits of ephemera that you create that you would use for layering, putting in junk journals, making it in a little tuck or a tag with your little paper clips when you layer things to make layered ephemera to put in your art journals and junk journals. What you need for this project would be cardstock, and after playing around I've found that using a kind of a light tan crafty colored cardstock, it's really light tan, they look the best. That's the one that I like the best. And you're going to need archival ink. So I'm using Ranger's archival ink in sepia, ground espresso, and vintage photo. Those are the colors that I'm stamping in. You need rubber stamps of all different kinds. And you need a soy candle. So this is a candle that is soy wax. It is scented, and that doesn't matter. It makes them smell wonderful. You can also use beeswax. She did mention that in her video, and I tried it with beeswax, and I've tried it with soy. And for me personally, I like the soy better than the beeswax. The beeswax just, it has more of a waxy feely. It gets on your fingers. I can still feel the wax on the image. When I do the ones with soy, it sinks in. They almost become translucent. See how you can almost see through them? But with soy wax, you really can't feel it when it's done. So that's what I like, is just taking a soy candle and using that. And then I'm adding some other kinds of embellishment things to it. So let me do one really quick and just show you how to do it. So first I'm going to take my rubber stamp. I'm using this cute dragonfly. I'm using sepia archival ink. You want to ink your stamp, stamp your cardstock. Nothing too complicated or technical with that. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp this on the cardstock. And then you want to tear it, and you tear towards you to make that rough edge. And you can make odd shapes. You could tear it in a circle, an oval, or I'm doing this one in kind of an odd shape. Like that. I'm going to take a little of this extra part off. So I've got kind of this fun odd shape. I love it. And then I'm going to take some Tim Holtz Distress ink in vintage photo. And now I'm going to go over the edge. So I'm going to just do distress along that torn edge. It just makes it look even more distressed and vintage. Love that. Quick and easy. Just like that. And now the next step on her video is to go ahead and do the waxing, but what I like to do first, what I found is really a fun thing to do, is I took my watercolor paints and I'm going to add just a hint of watercolor to this image. So I'm just taking a water brush. I'm going to take a little bit of teal and just lightly go across these wings. Adding a little, just a hint of teal. I'm not even doing a full watercolor painting. I'm just adding in little pops of color, little touches. And a little bit of green on the body. Let's add just a little bit of that. Maybe a little bit of yellow on the head. And maybe a little more on the tail, a little blue on the tail. So I'm just adding in just a little bit of color. Just like that. Look at how that's just soft and subtle, but it just adds a little bit of color to it. I'm going to take my heat tool and make sure that that watercolor is totally dry. And that just takes a second or two to just dry it off. And then next what you're going to do is take a piece of freezer paper, and you're going to put the shiny side, you're going to fold a piece of freezer paper with the shiny side inside. You're going to put your little image in here. I'm using just a palette knife and my soy candle to just scrape a little bit of the soy wax, and you don't need a ton. You'll get a sense once you've made one or two how much you need, but I'm just going to put it inside this little folded piece of freezer paper. And then I'm going to close it down, and I'm going to hit it with my heat tool, not on this mat because it'll melt, but you go from the bottom, carefully heat it from the bottom without burning your fingers. If you need to hold on to it with a tweezers, you can do that. I'm going to move my mat aside so I can put it on my table. That makes it easier. And then warm it up so all that wax melts. And then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm flipping it over, and I'm going to heat it from the other side. And you'll start to see the wax melting. I'm going to flip it again. And I can see there's a spot inside that's not completely waxed, so that's okay. You open it up and take a peek and see how there's a spot that's not covered. You can either just brush some of that wax over there that's melty. This wax on top is melty, so I can kind of cover a little bit. I'm just using a Q-tip to just kind of spread out that extra wax. There we go. Just want to make sure it's all covered. Let's heat it again. And now while that wax is nice and melty, I'm going to wedge it between a paper towel and just lightly blot it. And that blots the excess wax. And what you end up with is this beautiful, look at this beautiful piece of ephemera. That'll cool and that wax will go away, but look at this beautiful piece of ephemera. They almost get see-through. The watercolor paint stays put, and look how beautiful that is. It made just a little hint of color. You could leave it plain without doing that, and it'll look like this one. So this butterfly didn't do anything to it. I just stamped it, distressed the edges, and waxed it. And then when it's dry, look at what you have, this beautiful piece of ephemera. And it's just an interesting feeling, and you can kind of see through it, and it's just pretty. These will be gorgeous to layer on tags and things. You also can take other things like this one. Look at the splatter. I took gold paint mixed with water, and I stamped my image. I used a Tombow Mono drying pen to go around this little bottle here and make some hash marks and pen marks in black. I used a Derwent Inktense pencil to add some color to the bottle, and then I splattered it with gold paint. Then I put it in its little envelope here, this little fold of freezer paper, and I did the waxing, and look how it turned out. It waxed and sealed in that beautiful gold sparkle. So look how pretty the black pen work is and the gold sparkle. So there's an idea. So I stamped this cute butterfly in ground espresso, and now I'm going to use antique linen. This is distress ink in antique linen to go around that edge. I really like that color. It makes a really pretty edge. And I'm going to show you something else I discovered. I'm calling it double distress, the double distress technique. So I'm going kind of far into my image when I'm doing my little distressing with my ink pad, and then I'm going to take my archival ink small mini in the espresso, and I'm going to come back around that edge, and I'm going to lightly just touch that edge, not the whole thing, and I'm not going really far in. I'm just doing the edge with espresso. And it's double distressed, but wait till you see how pretty that looks. Look at that double distress edge. It almost looks like somebody singed it or burned it. Oh, look at that, like wood burning set burns. So here's that same double distress looked edge. I love it. So then the other thing I discovered is that you can use things like your Derwent Inktense pencils. You can come in and add some color. I'm adding a little bit of color underneath that. You can use a water brush and activate it, blend it out. And then as long as you let that dry or heat set it so that it's dry, when you use your wax, it's going to seal it in. So I've tried all different kinds of things. I've tried Arteza brush pens that are kind of a water-soluble ink. I've used Neocolor's color pencils, Derwent Inktense, splattering with acrylic paint. I've used pens to do pen mark. And basically what's going to happen, oh, let me show you one more. I've also used this glitter ink by Spectrum Noir. It's a clear glitter ink that's just very glossy and shimmery, and I love putting it on things like bees' wings. So look at that. I put glitter ink on the bee's wings, just a little bit of color on the bee. And then when you put the wax on and you melt the wax into it, the wax seals it in, and that glitter isn't going anywhere. It's going to stay softly glittered like this. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? You can even splatter that on these. But you'd want to do all your light coloring and any kind of using of medias, dry it completely, then do your melting of wax, and you're going to just end up with some really cool, fun results. So it was just taking it a little step further to add a touch of color and some splatters and some pen work and things like that. Now I'm thought about even, what if you did it, these are very vintage looking because we're using different browns and things, so they look antiqued when they're done. I haven't waxed that one yet, but these are all waxed. What if you took a blue, so I'm using a blue ink, this is cobalt blue. I'm using a Night Sky rubber stamp that's from like 20 years ago. Love it. These were called Stampscapes from 20 years ago, but they're so pretty. So I thought, what would happen if this was done in a colored ink instead of just brown antique looking? So here's my idea on that. I'm going to stamp it in color. So I'm going to stamp it. I'm still using a tan colored cardstock, but I'm stamping it in blue cobalt archival ink to make that beautiful night sky. Look how pretty that stamp is. I love that stamp. It's so pretty. And then I'm going to take the Derwent Inktense pencil in white. This is antiqued white. So I'm going to color that moon and make it a little white to make it stand out a little bit from the tan cardstock. And then of course, Derwent Inktense, if you wet it, it's going to intensify it. So it makes it nice and white. So now that little moon pops. Cute, cute, cute. And I'm going to take my Spectrum Noir sparkle ink and a little paintbrush. And I'm going to shake it up and add a little bit of touch of glitter to that moon. Let's make that moon sparkle. So now the moon is sparkly with that glitter ink. I love that. I'm going to heat that a little bit just to set it. Tear it. This would be so cute layered or put on a tag. So cute. Love it. Be cute with a little fairy. That would be cute to layer it with a fairy. And then I'm going to go around it in some blue ink. I'm going to do the fun double distress technique. So I'm doing Stormy Sky first to go around this whole image. in Stormy Sky. And I'm kind of going up into the image a little bit. And then I'm using Chipped Sapphire because it's a little darker. And I'm going to go around that edge in Chipped Sapphire and not go into the image, just do the edge. Oh, so pretty. This is so cool. I had to just share because as I was playing today, making some ephemera for my journals, I just discovered that you can do mixed media stuff with this waxing technique to make this clear little waxed piece of ephemera, but adding colors and doing things differently and really jazzing them up, it just brings it to life. So now look at how cool that framed that out. It has double distress ink in 2 colors, the white to make the moon pop, the sparkles, and now let's see what it looks like with some wax. So I'm going to put it in my little piece of freezer paper, and I'm going to get some ink or some wax from my candle, my soy candle. Drop some wax all over it. And I just kind of make sure that there's some a little bit everywhere so that when it spreads out that it covers the whole thing. And you might have to do it twice like I showed. And now I'm going to heat it. And flip it. And flip it and heat it. And then take a peek. Oh, this is going to be so pretty. It needs a little bit more wax off to the edge here. It's really hard to know how much wax. You don't want too much because then you waste your wax. And a lot of it is just too sloppy and has to get wiped away. But if you put too little and you can see those places that need it, you just go back and put a little bit more. Heat. Flipping it, doing the back side really helps to spread that wax out. There we go. Oh my gosh. And then put that aside to reuse it. Just to blot it with a paper towel. Just to get that excess wax. And look at this beautiful piece of ephemera. Oh my gosh, that is so pretty. Look at that. It is almost, it's got this beautiful waxy feel to it. It makes that cardstock almost see-through, transparent. The glimmer still shows underneath, so you can still see the sparkling moon. Look at that. Oh my gosh, that is so pretty. It'll be gorgeous on a tag. So I hope you enjoyed this and that it gave you some ideas of something to try with a candle if you have a soy candle. Regular wax candles won't work. It just doesn't work. I mean, you can try it, but it just doesn't spread out nicely. Soy works best, soy candles. I tried beeswax, and I didn't quite care for it as much. It was very, I don't know if I said that in the beginning of the video. It's very, it left the image feeling very waxy and the wax even still gets onto your fingers, and the soy does not do that, which I think I mentioned. We're doing the butterfly. You can see that wax moving around in there. One more little spot that didn't get it, but I think I can, there we go. That sucked it up. Look how pretty. Oh my gosh, that butterfly turned out gorgeous. Gorgeous. The double distress. And I stamped it in espresso, which I really like. That made it really stand out nice. These are just so addictive to make. And pull out your rubber stamps, play around. You can make so many little bits, ephemera bits. Look how beautiful that is. And it's see-through. Oh, so pretty. That is just gorgeous to put in your junk journals, art journals. So look at all these. Depending on the color of cardstock you use, this was a cream colored, and it's just lighter looking, but it's still see-through and it's still waxy. So depending on the color of cardstock, the color of ink, and the type of wax you use is going to determine how they turn out. But look at all this beautiful ephemera for putting in the journals. So I'm going to continue making some, and I just thought I would share my ideas of using your mixed media supplies before you wax. And be sure you just, if anything, heat set it real quick with your heat tool, then do your waxing. And the wax seals in all the colors and the things that you use, the type of art supplies that you used. So have fun, give this a try, go make some ephemera and make some art, because art soothes the heart.